Good morning, guys, and welcome to Unique Not Different with me, Shamla. And today I have Cecile as Jeanette, who is an advocate for persons with disability, in particular women with disability. She has a degree in behavioral science, and today she will be talking about her journey and what triggered her to advocate for women with disability and employment for persons with disability. So, good morning, Cecile. How are you?
Good, good morning, Miss Shamla. How are you?
I'm fine, thank
I'm
you.
good.
How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm great. I just want to commend you for, how far you have reached and how you got this opportunity to use your platform to influence change and for persons with disabilities. I want to commend you very much and thanks for inviting me.
Thank you so much. And it won't be possible without persons like you, Cecile. So thank you as well. So let's get straight into it.
Yeah.
In terms of prior to being an advocate for women with disability, right?
Yes.
What triggered that event in terms of like doing schooling? What was your journey like to trigger that event to advocate for women with disability?
Well, actually, I want to commend organization I represent, persons associated with visually impairment for, you know, and Mr. Passad for really being a good mentor to me. It all started, in order to graduate from UST, you have to do your practical, and I worked with Pavi for my hours, and from there, my passion to work with persons who are blind and visually impaired community, because they have done so much for me, and it's my turn to give back, and that's how my advocacy started. And also to personal life experiences as a young lady caused me to go into advocacy for issues for um, blind and visually impaired women, and also of a kind of touch on others disabilities also.
So, in terms of your work with women with disability, what are some of the major problems, especially for persons who are blind, women facing
I'm
disability?
glad that I'm happy that you asked this question, and it's what I've been passionate about, especially over the past 2 to 3 years. For example, access to housing. I know of a situation of someone who need to they've been on the list for years where have to go and to get emergency housing, access to social services. I had experiences with, fighting up to get my disability grant. That's a story I don't want to go into. And, it has some persons don't know how to access services, especially those who don't know, who don't have training of using assistive technology. Like when someone goes in to get services or health, housing, social services, you give them a piece of paper and you say, here, without explaining what to do and even someone to assist. So I am really passionate about services, and also too someone who wants to start a small business, getting access to small loans and whatnot. It's a bit of a challenge, and how with terms of how to market your products and whatnot, like these things, like these types of services, like where to go. And persons with disabilities and blind and visually impaired person need that direction and somebody to to help them. Like this, our services really need to improve in terms of sensitization and whatnot. So
And in terms of technology to access these services, because there are services available, right? But particularly may not be for persons with disabilities who, I guess, who probably don't have, I guess, a stable job because they didn't get a stable education, right? So, in terms of technology to
agreed.
access these services, what would you say in terms of like ranking? Is there, like, let's say, website, like access to government website to get access to form? Is it user friendly?
Unfortunately, from what I speak with colleagues who went into the assistive technology, I'm not really good at that. Unfortunately, what some are saying, it's not really, our government websites are not accessible, you know, and in terms of accessibility, there are persons, I have colleagues who are blind and visually impaired who into the IT, could help with, making website accessible, making forms to fill out a form like a passport form or any other form accessible, because some people really don't know what is really accessibility itself. So
So, in terms of jobs, right? You said that you have your degree in behavioral science. In terms of
yes,
accessing job as a young woman who is blind, how tough was it or is it
it's
in accessing a
it's
job?
very, to be honest with you, it's very challenging. I have been looking for something for 6 years, and I think, and that's another thing too. We really wish that I know there are companies that hire persons with disabilities, so they could advertise. So they'll say, "Hey, okay, here hire persons with disabilities. Let me apply here," because and I'm concerned about the young generation now coming out of school, and that direction, they need direction, like where, like where do I go to apply for a job, what multinational companies hire persons with disabilities and whatnot. And also too, we have to sensitize the business communities, like the Chan and these associations, Doma and other organizations, about hiring persons with disabilities, because well, sorry to say, because of society and ignorance, our societal ignorance, we have a perception like they paint all of us with one brush, basically,
Right.
and they don't understand persons with disability. You may have different needs to my needs, and reasonable accommodation could be met, and a mutual compromise between both parties could be met. And I think it's something that trade unions also could get involved, and we could also sensitize the JITA movement and whatnot. Yeah, that should be, yeah.
So, just in closing, right? What advice in general would you give young persons, and I guess persons who have the authority to do something to change? What advice would you give both parties?
I will advise all stakeholders, private, public, etc., stakeholders. We don't, a colleague made a statement. We we don't want we don't want sympathy. We want empathy and understanding, and we all want to work together. And I'm calling on also to persons. Sorry to say, I'm very sorry. Hmm. I will call on generally all persons involved, trade union, government, private. Please come and talk to us. We are welcome to dialogue and to sensitization. Please meet us at the table and we'll be willing to talk with you. PAVI and other organizations will be willing, because we really want our young persons like us, we want to contribute to towards the building of our nation also. So thank you very much.
I want to say thank you so much for coming, sharing your knowledge, sharing your experience, and I guess giving solutions to what you have said in terms of the problems that can for stakeholders and private sector as well as public sector entities to come together
Yes.
to make a more inclusive society. Thank you so much. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for tuning in to this week's segment of Unique and Different. Until next week, as I always say, be good, do good. Bye, everyone.
Okay, bye everyone.
Bye. Bye.